Cardinals edition of the Ben Garcia Show. We're reacting to the 53-man roster. The Cardinals now know their Week 1 quarterback opponent, and Walter Nolen goes on PUP. My thoughts on all of it, we'll get it all started now.
The Ben Garcia Show. Yeah. Best show in the land. Yup. Listen. Come and get your information from Ben Garcia. Get the latest on your quarterback, running backs, and receivers. Tune in, so any other show you don't need them. Any news that he giving out, please just believe him. Giving out the latest prediction and top-notch analysis. Wanna hear the truth, better have thick skin like callus. The latest move that your team just made can be damaging. The dudes ain't speaking no facts, they just be rambling. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show. Go get the cameraman. Yeah. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show. Go get the cameraman. The Ben Garcia Show.
What is up? Welcome in to yet another edition of the Ben Garcia Show. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Apologize for being late this morning. I had to just do a bunch of things early in this morning as part of my apartment complexes telling me that I have to do things so that they can come in and, spruce up the house or whatever it is that they need to do. But with that being said, sometimes I'm late, sometimes I'm early. Today, a little bit later. It still doesn't stop the train from rolling on the tracks. So do me a favor, hit that like, share, subscribe button. Follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. It's an all Cardinals show today. I thought about talking a little bit of Suns, but we decided it's a little too early for that. We'll bring that stuff back at some point. But right now, it is a lot of just football going on the Ben Garcia Show. And there's just a lot of different things we got to get into in this edition. So with that being said, hit that share, hit that follow, hit that subscribe button. We got a lot of things to talk about as now I am set up on my end, literally getting ready as we speak for the show. So let's start here. The Arizona Cardinals 53-man roster is out. What does that mean? Well, clearly, obviously, if you wanted me to be very clear and obvious about it, they come up with their 53 guys. Here's the thing that is a little concerning and some of the things that I thought were the right move for the Cardinals. Number one, Darren Hall being cut from this cornerback room, I didn't love that. There is something to Monty Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon who hate cutting their own draft picks. And that could be a future problem down the line. And here's why. Imagine if this current regime drafted Josh Rosen. The one thing about Steve Keim that you got to give him is this. He drafted Josh Rosen and immediately moved off of him in 1 year. That is a good thing to have in your general manager. It's probably the only good thing Steve Keim had. He'll be willing to move off of things quickly. Probably because he was such a piss-poor drafter that he probably knew that guys weren't going to work out and didn't need to see a couple more years of those players. However, if the Cardinals, let's say, aren't great this year, and Kyler Murray is obviously the catastrophic, or is going to be the person that is cut loose because the Arizona Cardinals season goes awry. Let's say that happens. And let's say the Cardinals pick a guy like Sam Levitt or Drew Aller in the NFL draft to be their quarterback of the future. That would be interesting because then if Drew Aller or Sam Levitt or whoever it looks like, Lenora Sellers on this team, doesn't work out, you're then talking about, is Monty Ossenfort going to be willing to move off of those guys? Instead of keeping Darren Hall, who I think was clearly better than Elijah Jones and Denzel Burke this year, he kept the guys that were his guys. He kept Clayton Tune around for a really long time. We're starting to see one of the negatives about Monty Ossenfort unfolding right in front of our eyes. And that's very plainly, he's a little stubborn when it comes to his roster. He's a little stubborn when it comes to cutting his guys, the dudes he picked out. So Elijah Moore, Clayton Tune, Denzel Burke, all guys that you can make arguments should not have made this team. Now, we're arguing about third and fourth stringers here, but this is not a loaded, stacked defensive back room. I think there's clear worries in the front parts of this cornerback defensive back group. And what does that mean? Well, as I've mentioned before, for some of the new people in the chat this morning, Will Johnson, Garrett Williams, Max Melton, I like all of those guys. I think that's a future shutdown secondary or defensive back group. However, as I've mentioned before, and I think I've been right on this, it's going to take some time because that movement from college to pros as a cornerback is just a difficult place to be. It just is. And so asking those guys to be awesome right away is unfair to them. I think Will Johnson could be a shutdown corner 3/4 of the way through the season, halfway through the season. But this is not a loaded cornerback group. And when Starling Thomas went down, immediately I said to myself, ooh, you have one more injury there. That's a really sparse group. So Elijah Jones has not earned the right to be here. Or Denzel Burke wasn't great in preseason. And don't hit me with he just got drafted this year. Guys, can we be honest? 5th round picks are cut all the time. Now you could say those guys are younger. Elijah Jones didn't have the same full run of a season last year. Maybe he turns into something else. And that is a very clear possibility. That could happen. But from what I've seen, the early returns are not great. Darren Hall should have made this team. Hopefully he makes it to the practice squad. If he doesn't, it feels like that could be a Rasul Douglas type of player going somewhere else and being awesome elsewhere. I'm not saying it will, but it could be. So Monty Ossenfort's got to learn to let go of his guys. Has to learn that as smart as he is, as a brainiac as he is, as good of a GM as he is, he has to understand that sometimes you have to let go of your guys. Elijah Jones probably should not have made this team. I'm less upset about Denzel Burke because it's his first year. And then Clayton Tune, I mean, he should have been gone the second he walked in the door 3 years ago. He's terrible. Here's the good things. Xavier Weaver made this team over Semifoco, whatever. It's the correct move. And here's why. Semi Fehoko is someone who is too redundant to what the wide receiver core already is. One of the things that is a complete difference between Cliff Kingsbury and Steve Keim and Jonathan Gannon and Monty Ossenfort is really plainly this. We were running out small, little wide receivers. Greg Dortch, Hollywood Brown, Andy Isabella, sub 6 foot guys who would get their ish blasted on the sidelines because, let's call it what it is, they weren't fit to be in the NFL's physicality. Hollywood Brown still can't stay healthy. The complete transformation from a small wide receiving room to now a bunch of big MFers is a really good place to be. And so Semi Fehoko, I thought was fine in the preseason. I didn't think he was as amazing as everyone else is trying to make him out to me. He's a 4th, 5th round guy. It's his 5th season in the NFL. He's been cut multiple times before. But Xavier Weaver adds an element to that Cardinals wide receiving room that Greg Dortch also adds. The shiftiness, the ability to make guys miss, catch the ball in space. I think he's a pretty good contested catch receiver. I think there is something to running a fly route accordingly. He does that really well. And I just like the guy more. Speedy player, over the middle, run some crossing routes. He's the type of player that will piss you off on 3rd and 18 because he catches the ball behind the line of scrimmage, big wide receivers in front of him, push the defenders over, and he scrambles for 25 yards. That's what Xavier Weaver brings. Semi Fehoko doesn't bring that. He brings physicality and toughness. So does Marvin Harrison Jr., so does Michael Wilson, so does Zay Jones. It's not what the Cardinals needed. That wide receiving room's already got that. Plus Trey McBride, another big, bulky, physical pass catcher. Xavier Weaver brings a 2nd or 3rd pitch if we're talking about baseball. It's not just meatballs down the middle, fastballs. Mix it up. Sliders, curves, changeups. That's what Xavier Weaver and Greg Dortch do for this team. And it's the right thing to do. I'm not losing sleep over Semi Fehoko. The other thing, the running back position. I'm very proud of Cardinal fans this year for not being fake outraged because Michael Carter didn't make this team. I am going to run back the same rant I had last season, which was this. Who cares? He's a 3rd string, 4th string running back. Seriously, for some of my guys in the chat, Aaron Van Buren, Michael Evans, you could run them out as the 4th string and 5th string running backs. I don't care. Because here's what happens. If the Cardinals lose James Conner and Trey Benson, one, they're already in a hell of a trouble anyways. And two, they're going to go sign someone. Donovan Knight's not starting for this team. Emari DeMarcado might get some looks. He's probably not starting for this team either. I don't care that Michael Carter didn't make this team. There's a reason why the Jets let him go. There's a reason why the Cardinals let him go last year. And then all teams around the NFL decided we're good and allowed the Cardinals to get him back on his practice squad. I don't care. It's not going to affect the season one way or another. So congrats to Donovan Knight if you want to talk about that, or Donovan Knight, Bam Knight, who's apparently the same guy. And I also think it's kind of hilarious that Bam Knight took Michael Carter's job in New York and now he took his job in Arizona. That is a little funny, or at least comical to say the least. And so, as I pull this down, just realized that's the wrong banner for today's show. I'm not upset about it. Michael Carter is a good change of pace back, but you can get a lot of those. He's undersized. I don't think he fits the mold. And James Conner is the big, bruisey running back. And Trey Benson is what Michael Carter does. In space, beat you out in the perimeter, and hit the hole as hard as he can. That's what Trey Benson does. So I guess I'm not gonna get fake outrage because Michael Carter isn't on this team anymore. It ain't that big of a deal, guys. And I'm proud of Cardinals fans this year for not making a big deal about Michael Carter. As far as practice squad guys go, Semi Fehoko, I think Michael Carter will both be on there. They're not going to lose either of those guys. The X factor is Darren Hall. I don't want to lose him. This cornerback room needs some depth to it. And this guy had a pretty good preseason. And I think it's crazy that, forget keeping Elijah Jones and Denzel Burke. Like, I get that. They're your guys. It's going to be hard to let them go. You're always going to get a longer leash. Life ain't fair. I'm well aware of that. But I do think it's funny that they didn't cut something else elsewhere to keep that depth at the cornerback position, especially since they've already had an injury. So keep an eye out for Darren Hall. Hopefully he's not gone from this team. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm not going to get upset because guys like Michael Carter were cut. The only one that made me scratch my head a little bit, and I get it, was Darren Hall. And the other thing is, I just don't, I already mentioned this, but I don't get what people saw in Semi Fehoko. He just didn't add anything more to this wide receiving room. I guess he's a big body, but there's a reason he's been cut multiple times. It's his 5th NFL season, if I'm not mistaken. So I just can't buy that kind of thing about being upset about it. Last year, it was Michael Carter. This year, it's Semi Fehoko. And I'm here to tell you, including Xavier Weaver, none of those players are going to change the dynamic of one singular game. Maybe a drive, maybe a play, if you're talking about Xavier Weaver, but Semi Fehoko, Michael Carter, they're not changing anything. So don't be upset about it. Here's the other thing I want to talk about. Walter Nolen's injury, and then we'll get into the New Orleans Saints naming their starting quarterback, which is just hilarious, by the way. Walter Nolen going on PUP absolutely sucks. You want to see your rookie come out and dominate right away. I think there was a real world where he could be a potential defensive rookie of the year player. I think he was that good. And I think in this pass rushing group, he would have really been able to exploit some one-on-ones and take advantage of how much better this pass rush group is this season. But with that being said, it is the right move to make. It is absolutely the right move to make. Last year, the Cardinals toyed with the Darius Robinson injury. Calf injuries are incredibly tricky. And with that calf injury came him re-aggravating it. And he'd missed 11, 12 games last year. I don't want to run that back for a second straight season. I just don't. So Does it suck? Yes. Is it absolutely the right move for the Cardinals to make? Abso-freaking-lutely. Last year, they didn't have the luxury of bringing Darius Robinson back slowly. And you know what? They got really lucky. What if the dude would have popped an Achilles? Then you wasted a first-round pick. He's likely out for a season. And your pass rushing group isn't as good this year. So they actually got lucky. Play it safe with Walter Nolen. And not only that, it's not like they're going to need him direly for the first 4 games of the season. It's Bryce Young, who just lost another weapon this morning. It's Brock Purdy, whose offensive line is shaky. It's the Seahawks offensive line that is always shaky, despite people telling me how the new right guard is going to change the landscape of the NFC West. And then the first game of the season, it's the New Orleans Saints and Spencer Rattler, who we'll get into in just a minute. But what's nuts to me, or I guess I should say what's very clear to me, is the Cardinals are taking their time with Walter Nolen. And it's the right move to do. They have the depth, they have the bandwidth, they have the players to be able to allow the rookie to say, no, we know you want to come in here and wreck some bodies early. We know you want to come in here and wreck some offensive lines. Take the time off that you need. Calf injuries are way too tricky to bring a guy back early, and that's what happened with Darius Robinson last year. He re-aggravated it, and we didn't see the dude for 10-plus games. With Walter Nolen, let's not run it back. The Cardinals' first 4 games of the season in terms of offensive lines is not the Philadelphia Eagles or the Kansas City Chiefs offensive lines. They're not great. You don't need him to win those games. So it's the incredibly right and smart and mature move for the Cardinals to make this. Because Walter Nolen is going to be a name to be reckoned with for years to come and potentially one of the better interior defensive linemen in this Cardinals franchise history. Or I guess I should say in Cardinals franchise history. I think he's going to be that good. And I think it's just going to take a little bit of time, allow him to kind of see the game of the NFL, speed up in front of him, and when he gets in there by week 7, week 8, week 9, week 10, he's hitting the ground running, and we're not trying to teach him the ropes when the Cardinals go through a gauntlet of games to end the season. So it sucks, but it's the incredibly correct, patient move for the Arizona Cardinals to tell Walter Nolen, we're going to put you on ice. Sit right there, Rook. It's all going to be fine. So that's where I would go there. I believe the Walter Nolen injury is, it's going to affect this team. But sometimes you just got to be mature. And that's what the Cardinals are doing, being mature. They learned from their mistakes last year in the Darius Robinson calf injury. This dude's explosive. Give him time to heal. All right, let's talk about our final topic. So, the New Orleans Saints, it's actually kind of interesting. We were just going to talk about Spencer Rattler, but really briefly, and then we'll get to Spencer Rattler. Bryce Young just lost another weapon. This Cardinals schedule for the first few games of the season, those first 6 games of the season for the Arizona Cardinals, is getting easier and easier by the minute, which is why I'm going to bring the proverbial hammer down to, I guess you guys couldn't see that. There's a hammer here. That's what I used to hang up the stuff in the back. It wasn't actually a prop. That's kind of interesting that it was there. But it's why I'm going to continue to bring the hammer down on this Arizona Cardinals first 6 games of the season. They need to absolutely take advantage of these first few games of the season. I'm not asking for the Cardinals to go 5-2. I'm not asking for the Cardinals to go 5-1 or 6-0. But you have to come out of this first 6-game stretch at minimum 4-2. And that's a lofty task. But their first 4 games of the season aren't tough. The next 2 after that aren't crazy. And so for the Cardinals, when you get the news that Bryce Young lost another weapon in Adam Thielen, and Spencer Rattler's the starting quarterback in week 1 and week 2, immediately off the back, you got to go 2-0. Immediately off the back. Don't let other Cardinals channels, and this is not a shot at them. This is my argument. Don't let other Cardinals channels try to fool you into the first six games of the year. They can go 3-3. It's not impossible for them to climb out of that hole. Don't do that. And don't let other Cardinals channels try to tell you, I guess I'm not a Cardinals channel, I'm an all Arizona sports channel, but either way, don't let other Arizona Cardinal channels, podcast hosts, people that cover the team, beat writers tell you it's okay to be 1-1 after 2 weeks. It's not. Spencer Rattler is the starting quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. He's not good at football. Tyler Shuck evidently is worse. Week 1 is a must win because the last few weeks of the season, we know how Kyler Murray is. After the bye week, it ain't great. Maybe he changes that, but as of right now, I can only go with the data in front of me. And B, it's a tough road. It's a lot of Joe Burrows and Baker Mayfields to end the season. The first 2 games matter, guys. And so when I see Spencer Rattler gets the nod as the starting quarterback, you got to be ready to lick your chops. And I don't really give a damn if they win by 30 points in week 1. It's week 1. Things get weird, but you got to win that game. And if you don't think Spencer Rattler's not going to come out with his hair on fire, knowing damn good and well Kellen Moore is looking for any reason to rip his ass out of the game and put Tyler Shuck in, you're crazy. So these are not gimmies. The NFL, nothing is a gimme. But there's things that are pretty close to it. And the New Orleans Saints are that team. Spencer Rattler is that player. Had to transfer out of Oklahoma because he couldn't win the starting job. Wasn't great at South Carolina. Don't let other people tell you week 1's not a must win. It absolutely freaking is. Because if you come out of that first stretch against Spencer Rattler and Bryce Young and the Panthers, who just traded away another weapon in Adam Thielen, 2-0. If you come out of that spot 2-0, then the next 4 games of the season, you have some leeway. You just need to go 2-2. But don't take these games for granted. Go in there with your hair on fire and beat the hell out of these other teams. Beat the hell out of these teams. These first 6 weeks matter, guys. I want to have it up directly in front of me and maybe in front of you guys too. So give me half a second. Every time I have the Cardinal schedule out in front of me, it's just funny because it always goes to the St. Louis Cardinals first, which says a lot about our franchise. The first week of the season, Spencer Rattler in week 1. Second game of the season, Bryce Young without Adam Thielen. Xavier Legette and Tedoroa McMillan, 2 very young wide receivers. Brock Purdy and the 49ers, who I think are going to be frauds this year. Sam Darnold, who outside of Kevin O'Connell has not had a good season yet. Cam Ward, who Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rawless need to be making that dude see go Sam Darnold style. Anthony Richardson. Those first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games of the season are incredibly important. But I argue these first 2 weeks, you got to be 2-0. Because I don't see them coming out of San Francisco and Seattle 2-0 again. They probably lose one of those games. Set yourself up for post-week 4 being 3-1 and knowing you just got to beat either Cam Ward or Daniel Jones in one of those games. Then 4-2, that's a great place to be. If you can get to 5-1, 6-0, you're playing with house money. Don't let anyone tell you it doesn't matter. Don't let anyone tell you it doesn't matter. Because it effing does, dude. And I get so effing sick of it. Well, they could lose the first game. They got an easy schedule after that. No. How about we take away the loser mentality? I saw Spencer Rattler won the job, and I'm like, I've seen that guy. He sucks. Tyler Shuck, I thought, listen, there could be something there. Maybe Kellen Moore saw it. He drafted him. So don't let anyone else tell you. These freaking games matter, and they need to come out with their hair on fire and win these next few games. Immediately, the first 2 right off the bat. Start off 3-0, then you just got to go whatever it is, whatever I mentioned before, 1-3 through your next ones or whatever. 1-2, I guess I should say. You got to come out of that first few weeks 4-2 at minimum. After that, it's house money. And then you have the Packers coming into town, and it's not such a stressor that you got to win that game. Because Packers coming into town, that's a home game for Green Bay. Let's just be honest. And I like Jordan Love a little bit more than Kyler right now. And they got Matthew Golden, and there's talks they could bring in Micah Parsons. You don't want to go into that game feeling like it's a must-win. And you don't want to go into the last few weeks of the season talking about, all right, time to beat up Baker Mayfield, Michael Penix Jr., who everyone's high on, and Joe Burrow. I don't want to be there. So let's not do that. Either way, guys, I am live here Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 7 a.m. So do me a favor. If you want to be a part of the community, hit the like, hit the share, hit the subscribe button. For some of you here that are new, we got a little bit more of a larger audience today. My name is Benjamin Garcia. I cover all Arizona sports, including Suns, Diamondbacks, Cardinals, all that stuff. But it's football season. Cardinals and Suns pretty soon here are going to be dominating everything. But Cardinals, 90% of it's going to be Cardinals talk. I'm not, beholden to teams. I'm not going to talk about the Diamondbacks. They suck. I'm not going to do that right now. You know what I am going to talk about? I'm going to talk about the Cardinals and holding our teams accountable. So if you enjoy that, hit the like, hit the share, hit the subscribe button. This is not a fan channel. This is I saw everyone else not holding this team accountable channel, and I'm going to do it. So appreciate you guys being here. As well as, I got a few spots left in my fantasy football league that I want to do with my subscribers. So if you want to be a part of that fantasy football league and you are a subscriber and a listener and a viewer of the Ben Garcia Show, hit me up on any social media platform, DM me, or if you can't DM me on Twitter, at me, I'll respond to you. Tell me you want to be a part of this fantasy football league. It's a full point or it's a half point PPR league. I think we're going to draft this Friday. I've got a few spots available. If we don't fill this up, then we don't do the league. No big deal. And you guys just hear me ramble. With that being said, do me a favor, hit the like, share, subscribe button. We are here Monday, Wednesday, Friday on the show. And thank you so much for tuning in, guys. It's been a crazy day. So seeing you guys in the chat is awesome. So for my guy Keegan, Hank Hill, this dude has great analysis. Sometimes I do. Thank you. Robert, I think I said Keegan, Aaron, Michael, for all you guys in the chat, thank you so much for being here. And I will see you guys on Friday at 7 a.m. And at 7 a.m., so we're here every day live, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The next time I will see you is 7 a.m., the normal start time for the Ben Garcia Show. Have a hell of a Wednesday, fellas. Stay safe.